When looking for financial assets that may appreciate in value over time, many different options can be explored. Most of the financial markets have their key weaknesses exposed in recent months. The COVID-19 crisis has certainly shown how feeble stocks and bonds are. More importantly, they seemingly have no room for future profits. Things are very different when looking into alternative investment options. Both Bitcoin and gold are getting a lot of attention, even though they have both dipped hard in the first few months of 2020. Bloomberg analysts firmly believe that both assets will keep gaining value throughout the remainder of the year. Following a recent market recovery for both assets, such an outlook isn't entirely baseless either. The analysts confirm that both gold and Bitcoin are building foundations for further price appreciation. That can only come true as proper price support levels have been established, which has yet to be confirmed. Bitcoin's recent $700 price drop confirms that market volatility is still a factor, now perhaps even more so than ever before. The coming months may prove rather crucial for both assets, either for better or worse.
Welcome to PreciousMetalsInvesting.com. My name is Ted Siddall, and I have the pleasure of having as my guest today, Charles Nidas. Charles is the Senior Market Strategist at LaSalle Futures. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks for having me, Ted. It's always nice to take part in PreciousMetalsInvesting.com.
Today we have a topic that's sort of in the news. We've talked a little bit in the past about Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about the relationship between Bitcoin and gold.
Yeah, Ted, going over, and this is just from a purely technical basis, looking at price action specifically, there is a very strong inverse relationship between the price trend I've seen developing since the middle of December with Bitcoin in its relationship to gold. And as the futures really started with Bitcoin, number one, 15,000 is a very important technical point that I've been watching as we've seen Bitcoin trend lower. The reason I attach the significance to that number is it was the opening print for the Bitcoin futures contract. But more to the point, what I have seen is as some of the air has come out of Bitcoin, we've seen gold catch a very strong bid. I follow moving averages very closely, and Bitcoin's inability since really the first of the year here in January to get back above the 10-day moving average. And then conversely, I look over to gold. Gold has had very, very good support along the 10-day moving average. Bitcoin has tested it several times. It tested it again here today, but it continues to trend lower here. And, in terms of volume, I've seen rising volume on the rally in gold. And again, obviously that's a little bit more mature of a futures market. In Bitcoin, one of the interesting things that I did see is when we rolled out of the January futures contract into the February futures contract, we did see a big spike in volume. But generally, I'd have to say the average volume in Bitcoin has remained really flat.
Well, I think, the technical factors that you follow basically mirror the press and publicity that Bitcoin has been getting lately, which is a lot of problems and a lot of questions about its long-term viability.
There has been, and a lot of times you see that in immature or new markets where you see a short-term trend developing and a lot of people are, jump on that and try to exploit it. And it's almost as if, somebody has a new mousetrap. But I think looking over it, as a longer term play, if you will, there's been a lot of questions asked. And I think at first it was kind of, take names and ask questions later. And at this point, you've got people asking questions.
Yes, I think so. And no answers are coming forward.
No, they're not, except for that we know that where I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be embraced very well in Asia, where you really haven't seen that. And you've seen, China, you've seen South Korea, and now you see, Japan starting to question, the viability of using this as a trading instrument.
And, there's been a lot of instances of not only fraud, but also of large-scale theft, the Bitcoin wallets sort of disappearing along with people's money. And as one of the articles that you forwarded to me said, that with Bitcoin, once a person gains your Bitcoin, they have complete control over it. You've completely lost it. So there's no organization that you can go to basically get whole.
That's correct. And another thing that I did notice, and I kind of thought now, an interesting thought I think here, Ted, is if you look at the cryptocurrencies in whole, I had looked at some of them, and you look at, Ethereum, and you look at Ripple, and you look at some of these other ones, and you almost thought maybe you would have some type of a rotation out of Bitcoin as it got a little bit frothy. But I think, you've seen as a rising tide, takes all boats higher. Falling tide seems to me has taken everything else down with it in terms of Bitcoin lower, yes. One of the other, and this is another, gold, gold has always traded in an inverse with the dollar. Generally if you see a stronger dollar, and that's just because commodities are generally denominated in dollars, but there's a very strong correlation between Bitcoin and the dollar since really its inception. As Bitcoin has trended lower, so has the dollar. So to me, this is an interesting correlation to watch and see if it continues.
Yes, it is an interesting correlation. I really thank you for being with us today at preciousmetals.investing.com. I'd urge all of the viewers here to contact Charlie if they have any additional questions. What's the best way to contact you, Charlie?
I can be reached. I'm a senior market strategist at LaSalle Futures Group. I can be reached at cnedos@lasallefuturesgroup.com or via phone, area code 312-818-1895. Anybody that has any questions in terms of Bitcoin futures would give me a shout. I would be glad to go over the charts with you and let you have a little insight into what I'm looking at.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, Charlie.
Ted, thanks as always for inviting me to the forum, and I look forward to returning.
Thank you.
Thank you.